There's a lot of pressure in sports. There's a lot of pressure in business. I think they're very similar. I think you need a great leader, great coach. I think you need great players, great employees, and I think you need people committed to what you're trying to do. You put those three things together, I think you've got a winning team, and we're going to talk to somebody who knows about that. Coach Lee Owens is next on Purpose Under Pressure. Well, the heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's a podcast about people like you and me. We're just regular folk, just trying to get it done on a day-to-day basis. We wake up in the morning, we swing our legs out of bed, we put our feet on the floor and get after it. And every single time we do, almost like clockwork, doesn't that pressure jump up and try to knock us off? What does it know? that knows that we're trying to get something done. Well, what do we do when it does? And how do we respond? That's what this show is all about. It's Purpose Under Pressure. If you're back, thank you. Don't forget to like us or follow us or subscribe. Hit those buttons and tell a friend. We do appreciate it. That's how we let other people know that this show is worth listening to and we can change lives one listen at a time. Purpose Under Pressure is brought to you all 8 seasons. Thank you to Sandler by the Ruby Group. They serve sales professionals nationwide from their Akron and Columbus, Ohio locations. They're also in Jacksonville, Florida. They're in Capital Region, New York, one of the largest Sandler sales training organizations in the country, and they're worth it. You don't get to be a number one. You don't get to be a champion. You don't get to be around that atmosphere unless you're good at what you do, and they are. If you're the leader of an organization, then you want your sellers to act the part, to show off what you do, the way you do it, and to be on purpose. That's Sandler by the Ruby Group. If you give them a call, it'll be the best call you make all day, whether you buy anything from them or not. I promise you that. So you can check them out online and reach out to them through rubygroup.sandler.com. My guest today is championship winning college and high school football coach, leading teams in Galion, Massilon, and Lancaster. He's also at the University of Akron. He's at my alma mater, Ashland University, and did some amazing things there. He's a motivational speaker. He recently wrote, and this is why he's on the show more than anything else, and published Spirit of a Team. Successful CEOs and coaches share their strategies for achieving excellence. If you can't tell by now, my guest today is Coach Lee Owens. Lee, welcome to Purpose Under Pressure.
Thanks, Bryan. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. I've listened to your podcast in the past and, admire some of the folks you've had, enjoy your program. So it's an honor. I'm humbled. I really appreciate this time together.
Thank you. Me too. I'm really glad we had a chance to talk. And I saw that you had written the book. And that's when I reached out. I said, okay, CEOs and coaches putting it together. That sounds perfect for this show. And I'm interested, Coach, can you tell me a little bit about the book, about your, what's going well now and what you're proud about? And then we're going to talk about some pressure that you and CEOs face.
Yeah. I get done a bunch of podcasts and opportunities to go speak on the book. And I get asked those questions all the time. It's like, why the book now? Why this book? And, what's in it for me? Who's going to read it? So I think the book now had a lot to do with retiring at 45 years as a football coach, 37 as a head coach. When you retire, you have a big gap of time to fill. And again, it wasn't like I was bored. I hunt, I fish, I golf, 12 grandkids. But, you get tired of sweeping out the garage and playing bogey golf and, you want to do something different. And, I was really approached by an agent, a writing agent and a publishing company about writing a book, and kind of went south. They wanted to do more of a memoir. I just wasn't interested. I didn't think many people would read it. What I wanted to do was a team building book, and I wanted to tell my story through the relationships that I had built with guys I'd coached, NFL coaches, from high school coaches like Nate Moore at Massilon to NFL coaches like Matt LaFleur at Green Bay. Tell my story through the relationships of some of the businessmen, the CEO I worked with, guys like Dwight Shaw here at Ashland, who built us that beautiful facility, and Dan Niss built us the indoor facility, or Bob Sebo. And I could go on and on, that guys who had been really successful in the world, and have them kind of validate these building blocks, this tried and true step-by-step journey that I think every team needs to take if it wants to achieve excellence. And which is crazy. What I found out more than anything else, Bryan, I'll let you get back to the questions, is that whether you're coaching at a small school, whether you're coaching a large school, whether you're running a small business, whether you're running a large corporation, no matter what sport you're coaching or what business you're running, the strategies and team building are all the same. Coach Tressel wrote in my foreword is that we're all part of a team. from a team at home to a team we may volunteer to be a part of, to our team at the church, to our team at the workplace. And we all want to be our best at being the best part of that team, a leader in that team, and taking that team to the highest level. And so the book's for everyone.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I was wondering, and I think I know the answer, but I bet you really experienced it, is from a business standpoint. When you're coaching football games and you're being a football coach and you're involved in that sports, what are the pressures that are similar in business? You're trying to get things done, but it's a shorter amount of time. It's not a long-term game. You don't have stockholders looking at you. I mean, what is similar to a business CEO or a director of some sort and a coach of a football team helping to teach young men and women do great things, during the event?
Yeah, the pressures are similar. We have to produce to keep our jobs. That's for regardless where you're at, you have to produce. It's a
Interesting.
little bit different in the football world. I tell this story. The story is not about all about wins and championships. It's about some adversity. Going through COVID was adversity. Getting fired at Akron after a 7-win season was adversity. And I tell the story about being fired and the difference that my firing had over most business leaders or CEOs is that their firing doesn't run 24/7 on an ESPN ticker at the bottom of the television for the next 3 days. They're not front page of the Akron Beacon Journal when it happens. And so it's a little more public, adds a little bit more to it, but it's identical. It's the same. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to reach not just success, but success without excellence. Excellence to me is kind of empty. It's reaching excellence, trying to be a team or build a team or have success that has some significance, has some purpose, has some value that can be a lesson for life, not just about money or not just about trophies or not about championship rings. So, and I spent a lot of time in the book kind of separating that out, the difference between just being successful and achieving excellence.
And what is the most important, or the one or two most important things that maybe business and coaching have in common that it comes down to achieving that excellence? Is it culture? We talk a lot about culture in the workplace. Is it reaching your goals and setting goals and having those right? Is it the people at the top? Is it the people in the middle or the bottom? What makes a successful team, whether it be sports or in business?
Yeah, there's so many. It's leadership, it's culture. We all know that. It's just work ethic, it's courage, it's a process of goals and plans and belief. It's passion, it's commitment. I could go on and on. We all have those in
Yeah.
common. But chapter 1 for me starts out with finding your Tom Brady. In every organization,
Mm.
you have to find that one guy, that one difference maker. It's a quarterback in football. And I had a young man at Galion High School. As a matter of fact, our 40th anniversary is this weekend. We're going back to spend some time together in the town, and they're going to celebrate that win. I'm going to sign some books. But Carl Johnson was a young man at Galion High School, had no chance in life without football, and come from the wrong side of the tracks, and had a learning disability. Football saved his life. And he was my Tom Brady. He led us to a state championship a long time ago. And he went on to become a successful businessman. He's a CEO of a private equity company now. Beautiful family, father, husband. What he's been able to do in his life is amazing. He was really the inspiration behind the book. And it was obviously the first chapter, because regardless of what you're doing, I think if there's one thing that separates winning teams and winning businesses and corporations from ones that don't do as well, it's that they have the right people. It's all about people. What would Woody Hayes say? You win with people. Sam Rutigliano told me when I got the job at Akron, he says you needed 2-3 things to win: recruit, recruit, recruit. John Cooper he used to say all the time, you can't win the Kentucky Derby on a mule. It's all about people. It's all about finding your Tom Brady's, finding those difference makers, finding guys who can take you and challenge you and your team to the next level, and doing it in the right way, doing it without compromise or collateral damage. It really comes down to that. I think more than anything else. And when I talk about finding the right people, and I'm talking about the guy who's just starting in the business and the guy who's running the business, to me, it's finding guys with character and toughness. In every business and every profession, we have to be tough to survive and make it to the top. And we have to be good people doing things for the right reason with a great set of values. To me, that is kind of the theme that runs through the book from very beginning to end until the last chapter when I start talking about legacy, which really kind of pulls it all together.
And I'm wondering, so you talk about having the Tom Brady. You can win championships with Tom Brady. It's a lot harder to win a championship without a Tom Brady. However, people did it. He won a lot, but he didn't win every single year all the time. You recruit and you have the right people on your team, or you at least recruit and have whoever you end up with on your team. Then what? If you don't have Tom Brady and you're a coach, what do you do then? Because it's not I mean, you can still win.
Yeah, you can still win. It's going to be more difficult. There's no question about that. And there's going to be some
Yeah.
tough times along the way. And how do you sustain during those tough times when Tom Brady's not your quarterback, and prepare
Yeah.
for the next time when the stars align and you got the right guys leading your team and all the chances are there to win? That's what you have to do to be able to keep up with it. You know, I think back to those times when I first got the job at Akron. They were the worst Division I football team in the country. And after 4 years, I'd only run 10 games. And in year 5, if I didn't have a winning season, I'm done. And I still didn't have Tom Brady. I had a guy I thought who might become Tom Brady, and he did. He led us to 3 winning seasons at Akron. And now, believe me, Akron's only had 5 winning seasons in their history, so that was pretty darn good. But it was another part of that was like we had to win, but how do you handle that pressure? First of all, I'd convinced the team that we had prepared hard for 4 years. We had built a strong structure. We were just waiting for this guy to come along and take the organization to the next level. And so if you prepared hard, you built some confidence, you have everything in place, then at that point, you're just making a decision. We decided to win in that year. We decided that we're not going to lose close games anymore. We decided we're not going to make any more excuses. And we went out and won 7 games in that year and was able to go on and win two or three more winning seasons at Akron. So it's all that process that I think you go through that I talk about in the book.
And if you don't win, and you've had some seasons where you didn't, if you look back at your career, is it the winning? Because that's awesome. All the great things that you did to build a winning culture and winning teams. But you did a lot more than that. You built a lot of that too and didn't win the games. Is it the winning of the games, or is it the other things that you did underneath in the attempt to win the games that will stand out in your legacy long after you're all done?
Yeah, it's the validation of the guys you coached with, the guys you coached, the relationships you build. It's that's the validation. I mean, it will always be. I believe asked me, my greatest legacy is it championships or 200 wins or,
Yeah.
big games. It's the validation is the young men that we develop,
Is it?
particularly young men who come in with not much of a chance. Otherwise, like Carl Johnson, we become dealers of hope for those guys. And when you actually when you see young people grow and become as good as they can be, that's legacy. That's what your legacy wants to be. You want to be the kind of person that made a difference in people's lives, and a kind of difference that can be sustained. The last chapter in our book is, a lasting legacy. And they wanted me to find someone, the publicist and the agent I work with. So we need to find a female example. We've got all these coaches and athletes and businessmen. And I said, I know the perfect person is Sue Ramsey, coached women's basketball at Ashland.
Yeah.
Look at her legacy, how she's left the team to her assistant coach and to one of her players, and they went on to win national championships. But that's not Sue's legacy either. If you talk to Sue, Sue's legacy is she cared about the people around her. She made the people around her better. And that's the legacy we want ultimately in life, is to be that kind of person. We made a difference. We lived our life fully. We lived there to serve others, to be there for others, to care about others. And when you approach it that way, and that's the ultimate goal or aim, then the excellence that you want to reach in life or in athletics or in business it's attainable.
Yeah. I've told my kids, I've told the people in my teams in the workplace that we can't control whether we win or whether we lose. We really can't. Sometimes the ball's not going to bounce our direction. Sometimes that person on the balance beam is just going to be better than me. But I can control how hard I work. I can control how hard I prepare, how much I care. I can control all those things. And if we do all those things well, we're going to win more than our share, because we're going to outperform and out prepare someone else. So it's not always the winning or losing, just like you said. I'm interested in, though, I want to talk a little bit about pressure, because in sports and in business, you got to win. So we talk about how, we tried. but you got to win. And there are times when you see on TV a coach, it's just bleeding out of them. What was it like to have to win no matter what, to keep your job or to to meet the expectations? What was that pressure like?
Yeah, that becomes dangerous. There's no question about that.
Hmm.
That's, I think, when the worst part of business or our teams or athletics is exposed, because we'll have a tendency to compromise what is right, to compromise what's best for our athletes, to compromise the rules of the game, to compromise um, our integrity, to cheat. Uh, and it's not good for the game. It's not healthy for you as a professional. It's not the lessons you want to live, and you'll never reach excellence doing those things. So, how do you handle that pressure? I think you have to stay positive. I think you have to stay strong in your faith and your belief that you're doing the right things, and convince those people around you that you're doing the right things. Have the right people, and eventually, it'll happen. Eventually, you'll have those kind of seasons. You'll have that great season, and to sustain it, it's basically, if you've done it the right way, and you continue to look and try to find ways to do it better, you have a chance to sustain that excellence once you reach it. So the pressure will always be there. And some people don't handle as well as they should. And I think the problem is the people that don't handle as well as they should are the people who are probably doing it for the wrong reason. If people go to work at Ohio State right now, not to go coach at Ohio State. When I went to Ohio State, I took a cut in pay from Massilon to Ohio State and made $40,000 a year. Today, that same job pays $800,000 a year. So there are a lot of people going to Ohio State to be a millionaire. There were a lot of players who came to Ohio State because they love the Buckeyes. Now there's a lot of players going to Ohio State because they want to get $1 million in image and likeness deal before they ever get on the field. If you're doing things and you're making decisions in terms of being part of a team for money and money alone, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be good enough. You're never going to be able to handle pressure. You're never going to be able to resist the temptation of doing the things that are not good, that aren't good for the sport, aren't good for your athletes, that aren't healthy for you. So if you're doing things for the right reason, when I was president of the American Football Coaches Association, I was asked a lot of times if there's one lesson or if there's one thought that you could leave with the people who are playing this game and the coaches who are coaching this game, what it would be. And it was real easy for me. I challenge every coach and every athlete in America to play the sport and to coach the sport for the right reason. Do it because you love the sport. Do it because you love your teammates. Do it to honor your parents. Do it to honor your faith. Do it to honor your school. And I know that doesn't sound like that happens a lot anymore, but money will always be a part of it. But if it's the most important part or the only part of it, the motivation for doing it will, and put with that motivation for doing it, along with the pressure of having to do it and keep that money, which becomes more important than anything else in your life, is a disaster. It's a formula for a totally, destroying a team, having a team just blow up on you.
What kept you up at night, Coach? Was it before the game? Was it after the game? Or was it the week before in the some of the individuals that you were working with, or some of the pressures you were dealing with behind the scenes? What was the biggest thing that just made you like, I got to figure this out, and kept your eyes open?
The biggest thing about winning, you're talking about?
Well, I think so. I'm picturing a coach going through Monday, dealing with Monday type of things, and then there's Friday types of things where the game plan is in place, and you've got the game the next day. Where then there's after the game, it went right or it went wrong. I'm wondering what kept you up at night. Was it looking back? Is it looking ahead, or dealing with the day to day?
I love the preparation. I love looking ahead. I love getting ready for the game. There's no question about that. But not as much as actually competing. Once you had the plan in place to actually go out and compete, and so those things were the best part of my daily job. And
that was
I
the
think
good stuff.
Talk to any businessman, that would be the case. The hardest thing in our job is the scoreboard at the end. That's the difficult thing to handle. We had a lot of 9-2 and 10-1 seasons into my career, but it actually got to me at the end was that one loss or that 2-loss season or game was harder to take than the 9 or 10 wins. It just kind of seemed like that's what's supposed to happen, and it was harder and harder to get over that scoreboard at the end where the opponent scored more points than we did. And there's, in our society today, the expectations are so high. and for all teams that are trying to reach that level, it's difficult to sustain that level of excellence and not allow that pressure to get to you. But the preparation for it, the actual competing to complete the plan that you put together, I love that. I mean, it was just hard at the very end, handling those times when you fell a little short.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that a little bit. You have a unique insight into maybe the way things are at Ohio State University. And we're talking about pressure. Here's a situation now where the national championship winning team, all the pressure is coming up here in November when they face Michigan. It's like, it's not good enough to win the championship. You've got to beat Michigan. What's that like? Can you give us an example of what that must be like for Coach Ryan and for everybody at Ohio State, even the kids that are playing these games? They're champions. Yeah, but you didn't get that one game done. How hard is that?
Everyone in the organization needs to know how to sell. Sales is the strength of any company. Whether or not you're in marketing, operations, or even finance, everyone has a strong shared accountability towards driving top-line revenue. Whether or not you're client-facing or talking over the phone, you're able to build a stronger level of rapport with the clients. Everyone in the organization shares that responsibility to know how to sell.
Even the kids that are playing these games, they're champions. Yeah, but you didn't get that one game done. How hard is that?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I can think of a lot of times where we had to win to keep a job, or we had to win to get in the playoffs. Or when you coach at Massilon High School, you have to beat Canton McKinley. Chris Spielman said there was more pressure on being a Massilon football player and beating Canton McKinley than there was being an Ohio State football player and beating Michigan. More pressure.
Wow.
That one game that had to win, that must-win situation. And then,
Do the players feel it, Coach? Do the players feel that, or is it just the coach? Yeah.
Both.
Okay.
I think both. But I think as a coach, your job in those big rivalry games, and we were successful in rivalries everywhere I coached. Akron, Kent, we were 9-2. Massilon McKinley were 3-1 against Finley at Ashland. I think we were 14-3. So in those pressure games, which a little added, it's really important for you to try to do a great job of sustaining the players' level, emotional, mental, physical output during the course of the week, because it's going to take a little bit more in that game because of the pressure that it puts on you and what it exerts from you during the course of the win in those must-win situations. Just to try to do your best job too, making the players understand it's special, and we're going to handle a little bit differently. But at the same time, we don't have to do anything extraordinary different than what we've always done to beat this football team.
I've always wondered whether it's harder to coach a game that's a high pressure game to keep the kids, the players on an even keel, because I'm going to throw the football the same way I throw the football against the 0-2, 0-10 team as the 10-0 team. I can only throw it so well. I'm going to block only so well. If you raise the pressure, do I choke? Or do you try to keep it down? Or do you actually tell a kid, a athlete, hey, you got to bring better than you've ever played? How do you get that done? Get that across?
You get a sense of your players in terms of they understand it, they get it, they know how important it is, and there's sometimes you got to kind of go in and calm them down before you take off. Other times you can just sense that they're not ready, that they haven't been focused, they're not prepared the way you'd like to be, and you have to shock them into getting ready to go play hard. It's just getting a feel for your team and the pulse of your team, the emotions of your team. And again, it varies from game to game, and it varies from one pressure situation to the next, and some are a lot more than other. Today with the social media aspect of it, and every game can be bet on. It's unbelievable what that adds to it. The fact that there's so many people looking at it, looking at the result, and openly critical when you don't play well, and so it's easy to get caught up in that stuff. So a lot of times, what you have to do too is just stay in the process and just kind of, not allow that noise from outside to become part of the process, because it'll distract from you. It'll take energy away from you that you need just to do what you do on a regular basis, a normal process throughout the course of the week or getting ready to play a game.
I remember when I was a sales leader in the business organizations, and people would say, "This is the biggest deal we've had. We've got to close this deal. We've got to, and they'd stay up late preparing and things. And I would say, "Good, I'm glad we're doing this." But once you've done the work, once you've learned the needs and you've figured out the solutions and you've priced it right and you've got the great proposal done, sleep well and let's just take care of business on game day. Let's just go out and get it done. I try to keep the pressure down because I don't want people to, put their hands around their neck and wish they'd have done it better before. I just want them to play their best game. I'm interested a little bit in culture, Coach. I'm wondering about, can you win with a team or a business that has poor culture if you have the best players? Which is best? I'll give you the reason I'm asking the question. I grew up a Cleveland Browns fan, grew up just north of Cleveland. Unfortunately, they currently have a 20 or 30 year culture of losing. And no matter what, that kick is going to go right. When you have a culture of losing, it's almost like you don't know how to win. And there are other teams that you see that have a culture of winning. And it doesn't seem to matter which players show up or what, that culture kind of takes over and can affect the outcome of the game. I think it's that way in business too. But I'm wondering, how important is that culture, and how do you keep the culture where you want it to be, especially when your players are rotating in every 2 or 3 or 4 years along the way?
Yeah, it's difficult. First of all, you have to have good players to win. You have to have good people.
No matter what.
So regardless of culture. Now you can have average players and another team with average players. If your culture is better, you'll beat them. But traditionally, the team with the better players, not always, but sometimes the team with the better players is going to win. There'll be exceptions to that.
Interesting.
I'll give you an example. This Galion team in 1985 that beat Youngstown Cardinal Mooney, they had much better players than we did across the board. But we had a culture that was unbelievable, great leadership in our quarterback. We had a town that believed in us. We had players who believed in themselves. It was just we played against a team that was overconfident and hadn't really prepared like we prepared, and everything worked out exactly. If we'd have played them 15 times, we'd have won once. We just happened to win that one time. They had better players. We had a culture to take advantage of all the situations that all the whole scenario that made it possible for us to win. But ultimately, you want better players. But ultimately, you want better players with a great culture. It's like work ethic and ability. What's more important? Honestly, work ethic's more important than ability, because you can have great ability and potential will get you fired. You hard work always pays off. Sometimes there's guys with great ability and you get nothing out of them at all because they're not willing to work. So that hard work is part of great culture, and you can overcome that average player if he's guy is going to really work hard.
Did you often know that you were going to win or know that you were going to lose depending on a record, or did you really think we have a chance every single game? And I think about businesses. Are we going to hit our goals? Are we going to hit our projection? Are we going to, and sometimes you're like, holy cow, there's just no way. And it affects you in that situation. If you know you're going to win or know you're going to lose, does that affect the way you prepare?
Absolutely. There's a line on every college football game at all levels. So first of all, you know what the experts think. And we as coaches want to know that, not for betting reasons, but because these are experts who study the two teams and are pretty good at what they do. So we know what the line is. And now, do you always think you're going to win? No. I can remember a headline across the Akron Beacon Journal. We're playing Virginia Tech in our opener, and Virginia Tech's coming off a Sugar Bowl victory over Texas. And it says mismatch of the century. Pretty good chance we're not going to win that game. I think we were 5 or 6 touchdown underdogs. We battled. We stayed in the game. We stayed healthy. We played hard. We always played to win. We always expected to win. We didn't play not to get hurt. We didn't play not to lose badly. We played to win and make decisions as if we were going to win. But I think all players knew that the opportunity to win that game, the odds were so low that was, we're playing Nebraska when they won the national championship. We played Coach Trussell at Ohio State his first year when I was at Akron. So we were in some situations, although we played them pretty tough that day. It was a 28-14 game. But they had better players than we did. And we knew everything had to be right. We're going to go in there and play our best game. We're going to give our best effort. We're going to play hard. We're going to play to the end. All those things are critical. But I learned how to play those games when you were an underdog. Obviously, when you're the favorite, you approach it a lot different. You don't have to take as many chances. You don't have to, work on team confidence as much during the week. More during the week, you're just talking about how good the other team is, and all that sort of thing to make sure that our players don't get too high. But you definitely approach the game differently, whether you're a favorite or you're an underdog.
What do you tell the players when they're a massive underdog against Nebraska or against Ohio State or against West Virginia, whoever it might be? How do you keep the players motivated, and what do you reward them with? What's success look like when you're playing against a team that you quote unquote have no chance to beat?
We opened against Nebraska, and they went on to win the national championship. So it was like my second year at Akron. We still barely had enough guys to be on scholarship. I tell this story about our team went busting out in the field and with all kinds of enthusiasm and excitement. Everybody asks, how'd you motivate them so much in the locker room? I tell everybody,
Yeah.
I told them the last guys out of the locker room had to start. So that's a joke. But literally, what you try to do, and we did this in the Nebraska game. We knew it was going to be a tough one for us to win. We had this goal. We wanted to rush for 100 yards. 100 yards. We wanted to rush 100 yards against this football team. And we battled and battled and battled. One is going to use a little more clock, control the game a little bit more. Long story short, we ended up rushing just for over 100 yards. You should have seen the excitement on the offensive sideline when that happened.
Really?
Now, we still lost 45-7 in the game, and I was feeling really bad about it. And the next week, they beat Oklahoma by 60. So I didn't feel quite as bad about the loss that week. But, so if you can find a couple small goals for the guys to rally around, I think it's good. And again, listen, we're going to go up there and play hard. And it was opportunity. We're going to play a team that's picked to win a national championship, and they did that year.
Yeah. And so I'm interested then as we talk a little bit about the book. You're not an author. At least I don't think you are. I don't know what you studied in high school or in college, but I don't know if it was English and literature and things. I don't know. Transitioning from being a coach to being an author and talking about business, there had to be a lot of pressure there, maybe some self-doubt. And can you talk to me a little bit about the process of getting this book to where it's at, which is, on Amazon, on people's bookshelves, and being read by CEOs all across the country?
Yeah, it was when I read, but I'm not a writer. So I was able to talk to Larry Phillips to work with me. Larry does, he's the editor for the Richland Source, Ashland Source, Knox Source. He's written a couple books. He's also a big sports guy, then a sports writer coming up through the ranks. And Larry and I have been friends, and he was so excited to work with me on this. And I said, Larry, can you teach me to write? He goes, no. He said, you would have better luck teaching me to play cover 4 defense than I will teach you to write, but I'll write it for you. And so I would write and write and write. He'd come back and he'd say, what do you think about saying it this way? Or how about if we change? Or why don't we add a little more story in here, be a little more descriptive? Add to it, So I listened to him. I learned a lot and enjoyed working with him. And also, he's a great interviewer. Being from the newspaper, news source business anymore, he was really good at interviews. So we sat down with all these CEOs, sat down with Matt LaFleur for 3 hours, sat down with Luke Pickle for 3 hours, sat down with Dwight Scharf for 3 hours. And he was really good about asking those questions that I had no idea about these guys. I learned so much about each one of them, and I had great relationship with all of them. We picked guys who I had a great relationship with because we knew the stories would be personal, and we knew the stories would be inspiring, and we wanted them to trust us and have confidence in us that we presented the right way. And I think they all did. I just love doing the stories. So the way we put it together is kind of something I'd envisioned, but Larry was really instrumental behind. But the heroes in this thing, the guy, it's about the guys we tell their story. Their stories are great. And it does, though, where does it fit best into my whole team building philosophy? That guy's story really fits good. Steve Clinkscale, who played for us at Ashland, who's now coaching for Harbaugh in San Diego, not San Diego, LA, and the Chargers. But Steve's confidence in himself and the goals he had in life fit that chapter and so well. And so to tell Steve's story out of Youngstown, Ohio, all the way to the NFL, it really helped validate what I'd write about.
I think it's important what you just said, and I'd like to kind of restate it a little bit for our CEOs out there that think that they are everything and they can't check their ego at the door. They have a director of this and a director of that, but they don't let them do anything. It's that ego that takes over. And one of the most important things I think of leadership is finding other people who are better than you. You can set direction, But when they're better than you, man, that's going to be a great team. You don't have to be the best to be the leader. You just have to be able to lead. And I think the ability for you to realize that, hey, I'm not a writer, but I know the stories and I know what this book ought to be about and I know where it needs to go. I need someone to help me write it. I don't think all CEOs have that ability. And maybe that's why you were a successful coach. I congratulate you on that. I'm interested in what, as we wrap up, what a CEO or a business leader, organizational leader is going to learn most, that's most effective in this book. Not maybe the strategy, but what is this book about and what will they learn? Is it about teams? Is it about winning? Is it about strategy? Sell the book a little bit to those folks that we want to read it.
I sent a book to Ben Ferguson. I don't know if you know Ben here locally.
I know Ben, sure.
Yeah. Obviously
From Bendon,
the
yep.
founder and CEO of Bendon Publishing. So he's a CEO. He's also a coach over at Hillsdale High School. And so I sent it to Ben and he wrote back to me, awesome. Great book. He said, from a CEO and a coach, exactly what I was looking for. So I called Ben real quick. I go, can you send that to Amazon for me? So I just get that review on there. But yeah. Ben had talked about he's a coach of a small school basketball program. He's a CEO of a large printing company. And Ben had said, regardless if I've got my CEO hat on or I've got my coach's hat on, the lessons, the motivational stories, the quotes that you use in the book, they're all relevant. They're all the same. We're all trying to do the same thing. And he said, I think you put that together in a way that I'd never seen before. He's trying to, compartmentalize whether he was coaching or whether he was at church or whether he's in his business that he has on the side with the hunting property down there in Hillsdale, or running a major corporation. And he said, in reality, and even my day-to-day life, my team at home, he said, you really made it all come to the same. We're really doing the same things, regardless what team we're a part of. It's not any different from one responsibility to another. As a leader, we're a leader. As a team, it's a team. And our objectives are all the same, to reach excellence, to become as good as we possibly can in a way that we can sustain that for others and be a lesson for others and really feel good about what we accomplished and not have to apologize for it.
That's the definition of leadership. And so I'm glad that you wrote the book. I'm interested in the future for Coach Lee Owens, and then we're going to talk about how people can buy that book. But what's next? Again, now the book's written. What does success look like for the book? What are you hoping to achieve? And then after that is achieved, what's next? You can't go back to playing bogey golf every day and sweeping the garage, like you said. So what are the pressures that you're going to face in the near future as you move forward?
Well, as soon as I retired, I started this Business Coaches Playbook, and where I do get out a chance to go out and talk to teams. 6 different teams I was hired to go in and coach and turn around, and we turned them all around. Won at all 6 teams, won championships in all 6 teams. And so there's a story to tell, and I've got some credibility with doing it. But I did find out, and particularly some of the bigger opportunities, and I'm speaking in business most of the time with CEOs and companies, that the people I'm competing against to get this biggest forum would be people who've written books, and books have gone on to do good things, been bestsellers. And so I really felt that's part of the motivation for me getting this. Number one, as a guy grew up trying to figure out how to team build and be a leader and do all this, I got every book, read everything, I talked to everyone, had every tape I could get, but I never saw one out here like this. And so I wanted to do something that, a young team leader, a young coach, head coach, any coach could grab a hold of and put on their desk and use as a reference. But I want to be able to increase this business and building team culture and speaking to corporations and companies about doing that. And I really think the book is something that can help me to really have that business grow.
That's amazing. How would people find you if they wanted to talk, if a business wanted to talk to you about coming to their organization, speaking to their team, talking with them on a consultative basis, or if someone wanted to read the book and buy the book? How do people do those things, and how do they get in touch with you that way?
And get to our website, Coach's Playbook. And obviously there's an opportunity to talk with me and schedule a time for me to come visit with your group. It's just coachesplaybook.com. It's easy to get to. And then obviously, the Spirit of a Team, Lee Owens, Amazon. You can get to it on Amazon and appreciate your support. Buy a book. And, I'm sure that you'll find something in there. You'll find 1 or 2 nuggets that are going to jump out at you, and you're going to say, "Oh, it makes sense." I kind of thought about that for a long time, and I just never seen it put into that particular order are written down that way. So I'm not again, the response I've gotten back from it early has been outstanding from those who have taken it and looked at it and got back to me.
It's a long career of excellence, Coach Owens, and it's a lot of individuals that you've impacted. The wins are the wins, the losses are the losses, the different teams, the different communities. What are you most proud of when you look back on everything you've done? What are you most proud of in your career?
There's no question my greatest legacy is my family. I've got 4 married children, and they're all doing well. One happens to be a head coach at Shelby High School. Another is running a private equity company with Carl Johnson. I got a daughter that's living on a farm, dairy farm outside of town here. But they're all married. They're great husbands and wives and great parents. 12 beautiful grandchildren. We get our whole family together 2 or 3 times a year. And to me, ultimately, when it comes down to life and what you have to be most proud of, it's relationships, and it's relationships first and foremost with family. So if nothing else, I want to go down this scene and being a pretty good team leader for Team Owens. That would be my greatest legacy.
Yeah, tremendous. I'm glad that you answered it that way. I believe that true success, now I don't know if you've ever heard this defined this way. I don't know if I made this up or read it somewhere, but I think you're truly successful when your family wants to be with you. So when you look back on your life, if your kids don't mind coming over on Christmas, I think that's a pretty cool thing. And if they want a vacation with you and they want your advice and they want to be a part of what they've always, that family, I think that's true success. And I think when you're able to put that into your work and you're able to build a company where the employees want to be together and they want to help you to succeed and they want to do the things that you want, whether it be football wins or whether it be wins on the stock market, whatever it is. I think that's true success, and I think you've reached it. I congratulate you for that.
You're right. That whole chapter on culture, I must use the term family, 100 times. Yeah, so that's what you try to do, make that team in that locker room like a family at home.
Coach Lee Owens, he wrote the book, Spirit of a Team. I'm reading it here on the side because it's a large title. Spirit of a Team, successful CEOs and coaches share their strategies for achieving excellence. It's right there. And I hope that you'll go out and buy it. I hope that you'll support it. And I hope you'll take one more thing from Coach Lee Owens, folks, as you're watching this. Coach Lee Owens did his job. He then figured out what to do next, and he wasn't afraid to do it. He got some help. He did some stuff, and now he's got this book that he wants you to read to make you better and to take the things that he's and taught to others, and so that you can put it to work in your world. So I appreciate your being on the show. Appreciate your taking the time, and I wish you the very best of luck moving forward, Coach Lee Owens.
Well, have me back when I make the bestseller list.
That's a deal. I tell you what, if you make the top 100, you're welcome back.
Okay,
you're always welcome back. That's Coach Lee Owens. He's our guest on Purpose Under Pressure, brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group. Sellers are under pressure to perform, and Sandler helps you to succeed on purpose. You're going to find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure, including season 9, which will begin shortly at bryanmediastrategies.com/podcast and wherever you stream your favorite shows. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.